Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Rabble. My name is Brian, and tonight I'm joined by John and Jamie. How are you doing, boys?
We're good. We're okay.
Weird. I don't know.
Weird,
I don't know how I feel. It's a very odd
Yeah.
one. I think we'll get to it, right?
yeah. It's yeah, John, as you say, that was a funny game tonight. Hard to be annoyed with them with the effort that was in, but I think just the last third of the pitch cost us, didn't it?
Yeah, it was really poor. I felt like there was nothing really happening bar that Barisic's cross into Kent near the end of the first half. When Kent done well to turn and get his shot off, a really good save by the keeper. It felt like we were just lacking creativity, but we keep changing the front three. It's not the team I expected to see. I fully expected to see Roof playing off the right, and I think I said on Tuesday, I did expect him to bring Lundstrom in or Arfield. I knew he wanted someone more defensive minded in there, but I think it looked off from the start. It looked like we needed a Rebo in that midfield three because Kamara and Davis were getting pinned back really fast. So was Lundstrom. It was just really it's hard to watch, but I think we've all said in the group chat it's not one where I was frustrated. I wasn't shouting at my TV. I wasn't getting annoyed by anyone. I don't think anyone really played badly. I just don't think anyone played really well, and that probably summed it up better than anything.
Yeah, Jamie, I think there was too many 5s, 6s, and maybe 7s out of 10s rather than getting up to the top end of the performances.
Playing against the top seeded team in the whole competition. Do I think Lyon will go on to win it though? I've seen a lot of people on Twitter there saying, Lyon there, they could. I can't see that. However, were they better than us on the night? Yeah. I put on the chat 30 minutes of the 45. I thought we were probably the better side in the first half, so I fully expected us to come out in the second half with the Gerrard gene is up at half time, and the second half just didn't really go anywhere, did it? They controlled the game. They've got some really good players. It's a real weird balance their team, because I'd say that they're really good players and there's a big gap there. They've got a weird mixture of team, Lyon, but we just didn't perform. I know there's a lot of chat in there about Davis and stuff like that. I'm not wanting to see anything like that. Guys are allowed to not have a 8 or a 9 out of 10 every week, every game. Can they have a 5 or a 6? Of course they are, especially a guy who's 36, 37, 38. So just a few of us just weren't on it, but that's perhaps maybe down to Lyon.
Yeah. I think, John, as well, the opening sort of moments of the game, the first 10 minutes, we looked really bright, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought we started the game well, but I don't really think there was that much of that big a spell in the game where I felt like we were really under pressure or we were really getting split open. There was just loads of times where Lyon just seemed to have really comfortable possession. I just felt like a really average game and a really average performance, and I just don't know. I don't want to be a broken record and go straight to the easy scapegoat again. I just don't know what Lundstrom's bringing to a title-winning side. Like, you go and get signings that are going to improve, whether it's right away or you can see what the plan is with a Scott Wright, Sakala, people who have maybe been brought in for a year or two's time when we sell people on. I just don't know what the Lundstrom signing is bringing, and I don't know what it's doing that Arfield can't do, that Ryan Jack won't do when he's back. It just seems an odd one, and just don't get it.
No. There was a wee passage of play in the first half I noticed with Lundstrom, and I wanted to work out from it, and I thought in the second half he came on to a bit of a game, John, but I just thought there was a bit in the first half where almost Davis gave him a short pass and Lundstrom gave him it back, and Davis gave him the short pass back as if to say, no, I'm giving it to you, this is your chance here. And he gave him it back twice, and I was a bit like, Davis kind of then turned out and nearly lost the ball, and I thought, Davis looked, I've played amateur football. You do stuff like that in games where you give a boy a pass to say, go deal with it. And then Lundstrom didn't want that in the first half. I thought he looked a wee bit better when he went into centre mid, but he's never going to play in there. So I don't know, man. Like, I agree with you. Yeah.
I don't think he was bad. I just don't know what he's bringing that other players within the squad don't already have, because he wouldn't be someone as an overall performance that I would be like, nah, he was useless, because I was a bit in the first half where he would get shouldered off the ball inside the box. It wasn't a foul, but he was the only midfielder in that first half that really took it upon himself to maybe try and drive forward at times.
Yeah.
But I just don't get what he's bringing. If you're going to make signings and we'll never know because we never really get access to exactly what players are paid. But all these rumours, we're taking an ex-Premiership player. He's probably on a good wage, and again, it's to me is that somebody who's maybe looking too far, but that to me is somebody who's blocking Kelly getting game time.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be my annoyance, unless it's like a Tavernier stopping Patterson, I really need to see class at stopping young boys breaking through. And Lundstrom just seems like a wage that's been brought in that we've committed to for three and a half more years. That Arfield was doing that job. Jack will do the job when he's there. So if Jack's fit, we've just got Lundstrom there. But yeah, I just don't get it. I do think he was better as a holding midfielder. I think that maybe says a lot about him, as that maybe he is just that sitter that needs two outside of him that he just gives the ball to and they play.
Yeah. I think, Jamie, when we move on after the sort of bright start we had, Kent loses the ball in the middle. The boy Akambi goes down the wing, and that finish is nothing else than world class, is it?
It was outstanding, but it's just annoying. Like, we gave them this opportunity to have that outstanding finish. If Kent doesn't lose the ball, we spoke about this on Tuesday about his ego, and I've never thought about it, but he does the hard work, he does everything so well, and then has that little nanosecond of lapse in concentration. It's almost like I do something brilliant, I win the ball back, look at me, I'm Ryan Kent, oh shit, somebody's took the ball back off me. Does that again. Lundstrom has an opportunity and he tries to kind of jockey the guy down to his left, but he doesn't do it aggressively enough. It can be just turns inside and just puts one into the bottom corner. I mean, some finish, you hold your hands up at stuff like that, but we allowed them to get into that position, and we had two opportunities to stop that from happening, which is a bit annoying, but you can't really argue with that finish.
No, John, I think the chance that Jamie was speaking about, Lundstrom should have put him out the wide rather than inside, shouldn't he?
It's basic, so that to me, I know it's a really good goal, and the commentators at half time kind of went easy on him, and I'm not digging him out again, but Goldson's got good coverage down the line. If the guy tries to take him on, Goldson's got that space covered. Tavernier's about 5 yards behind Lundstrom, so realistically all he has to do is delay him for another split second, because you see how close Tavernier is to him when he hits the shot. All he has to do is show him that line, and the guy will take it because he took it most of the game. All he has to do is show him there. I know he's done some step overs, but the ball doesn't move. Keep your eye on the ball. Do what people seem to do with Ryan Kent. You can move those legs as much as you want, but if the ball's not moving, people aren't moving. Show him down the line. Goldson's got that covered. It's just really, really poor to let somebody who's right-footed inside you. It seems so basic. And we are very comfortable having the ball go wide. That's our whole game plan with the front three and the midfield three. We are so happy for people to have the ball wide. So I don't know why, when it's one-on-one, you would let them even remotely come inside the pitch. Just let them beat you down the line and get everyone filled back in. They only had Slimani up in there. So it would have been a 1 against 5 if he goes wide across in. I just don't know. It's such a poor defensive error. But if you get beat from 25 yards, any Alan McGregor, it's going to have to be a good finish off the back of that as well.
Yeah, and Jamie, I suppose after the goal we stemmed the flow, but I still felt we were very slow and passive and just not aggressive enough. Would you think?
I agree. And this is where the bigger picture comes into my mindset, where I'm not overly disappointed about tonight, because I don't think Lyon are a great side, but I thought out the 90 minutes they deserve to beat us. So I'm not overly, but it's this word passive. I've been on so many match reactions, and this is a word we keep coming back to. I'm agreeing with Stephen Craigan. Passive is the word we're using right now for Rangers, and it's getting a bit worrying for me. And I don't want this to be negative, because you know what, Lyon or whatever they are, they get in the Champions League semi-final the season before last, so they've got some players in their team, but we were passive again at some points, and we started well, but I don't know, man. It's like that word passive won't go away, Brian, and it's getting a bit worrying. There's something needs to happen or click or something, and I don't know. I mean, Tuesday night, John, we spoke about Ryan Kent being the catalyst. We said this before the Celtic game again. It's just not happening. So I don't know.
Well, there's another one. We spoke about this. So Ryan Kent had a hamstring niggle before the Celtic game. Ryan Kent played that Celtic game. Ryan Kent then played the St Johnstone game. I know there's been a break in between. That hamstring niggle doesn't go away. It's a 46-week recovery period. He started that game again. He's probably been hung out to dry a little bit. I don't believe that I refuse to believe Ryan Kent's anywhere near 100% fit just now. He does not look himself, and I'm fed up seeing people on Twitter saying he's no at it, he's no interested. I just refuse to believe he's 100%. He doesn't look at all. That was the game before the Celtic game. We seen him 2 minutes in, looked like he pulled up. He played another 60 minutes. He played against Celtic. He played against St Johnstone until we took the lead. He obviously doesn't trust other players enough, because he did take Kent off as soon as that goal went in against St Johnstone. And that would worry me, because Roof can play there, Sakala can play there, Wright can play there, Aribo can play in the front three. Arfield, if he had to, can play in one of the outside front three positions. Ryan Kent's been forced in, and I mean, I'm speculating a little bit just now. He might be fine, but to me, he needs to take time off and recover. And I just hope it's nothing too serious. I hope it's, because a hamstring injury can end up being 8 to 12 weeks if he has tweaked something, and that's what would worry me a little bit. He could have been rested out of these games, because you're not getting knocked out of the Europa League in the first game. And I think the one thing we said before coming on, biggest positive tonight is that Bromby drew 0-0 with Sparta.
Yeah.
So we're only a point behind the other two. That can be recovered in the next game. We don't play Lyon until the last game, so we've got Lyon out of the way. We've got the best team in the group out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comment sums up, John. If he's carrying an injury, he shouldn't have been playing, really, should he?
And he obviously is carrying an injury, because it's the same one doesn't miraculously appear.
Yeah.
He's not had that injury 3 weeks ago, and now it's reoccurred again without the medical staff knowing. And we were super. We were getting a lot of praise for how we handled recovery and injuries throughout the last season. I think we only had a couple, and it was mainly Ryan Jack, I think, was the one that was recurring. And now it seems like a lot of people are breaking down now. Games are coming thick and fast. It does seem like we're constantly getting somebody niggled, somebody missing from the squad. And I don't know if we're just playing people through barriers that they shouldn't be playing. Like, we've got sports science departments. That's been a known problem, and he shouldn't have been playing.
I would love them to come out now and just perhaps say, because something that obviously I'd love them to come out, a bit of transparency. You know what? We have been playing Kent. He's not been fully fit. Just tell us. They don't tell us anything. Just tell us that one, and then perhaps he maybe need to rest and recuperate that, because the last thing you want is a 6 or 7 or 8 week hamstring injury, because that's a killer on top of what's happening with Hollander right now.
I think that would sort of clear up a lot of things, because Kent's been getting a bit of heat recently for his performances, and if he has been carrying an injury, then you could sort of say, well, that's why then, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Now that being said, the second goal is nothing to do with your injury.
No,
that's just madness.
Bad decision.
It's madness.
Ego again, innit?
You've done your job. You've done your job. You've got back in. You've won the ball back. A left foot pass up to Morelos. We're up the pitch. You try to do a feint, you try to drop your shoulder, and it's just, I know there's a lot that goes on after that. McGregor's a good save. Goldson makes a good clearance. It's unlucky that it hits off Tavernier, but none of that happens if you just do. You don't. I know we made a joke about how deep he was dropping on Tuesday, but I mean, don't do that in the edge of your own box. Jesus Christ.
Schoolboy stuff in it.
Right.
No, but I mean, as you were saying before we came on, Jamie, we kind of thought, after the first half, we certainly went out of it. We were well in it, and we kind of thought we'd come out and really go at them, and it just didn't happen again, did it?
No, it didn't, and that's what we've been kind of famous for. In the Gerrard era, is really coming out in the second half and going for it, and you always feel quite. I mean, half time, it was comfortable for me in the fact that, of course, we can see the goal in the first half, but I always think we're brilliant in the second half, and the second half petered away into nothing. And I know Morelos was getting his critics in that, but he's dropping deep. His link-up play is decent. We just didn't have anything anywhere near him to create anything in the final third. I don't even did we have, other than Kent's in the first half, did we have another shot in the second half? I mean, I almost zoned out in the second half. Arguing with folk on Twitter, but that's another story. But the second half petered away for me, and I don't feel that bad. Despondent maybe, but I think Lyon, they're going to win the group.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're picking up. We're not picking on Kent. I would say we're kind of saying if he's been carrying an injury, that's why his performances hasn't been up to scratch. John, would you say?
Yeah, I think that the decision making in that, but it all leads back to, I don't think he's fit. He's a confidence player. I know that can be almost cliche sometimes, but Ryan Kent's ego needs to match the level he's playing at and needs to match the performances he's putting in for it all to click. We've seen it when it clicks. We know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And players don't switch off. Players don't get their head turned. They don't. Players aren't disinterested. People don't turn up to play football games and can't be asked, especially if you're getting paid money for it. So this disinterested nonsense is just that. It's ridiculous. He's carrying an injury. He's not playing well, and it's all leading into things like that, making stupid decisions. But I honestly do think we're going to find out that he's been carrying this knock for 46 weeks now, and he needs time out. It's that simple.
One thing we can't say about is disinterest. He's not disinterested because he will work and fight for every moment he's on that part, and that's what you can never say about him. But it's these little moments where he's just forgetting the main job when you're winning the ball back. Just do the basics, and then it's just I wouldn't pick. He's a top. He'll be our biggest sellable asset. Of course he is. So I'm going to say we're picking on him, but you can highlight when someone hasn't played well. We're trying to maybe give him an out of why he's maybe not played well.
I would say so. I mean, we've all known that his form's not been great this year, but as you say, Jamie, he doesn't hide. Something doesn't work, he still tries it, and he still goes back in. He still tries to take guys on. But I just think, as you say, with the niggle of an injury, the confidence isn't high. He obviously can't do what he normally does, is try and beat players and get past them. So, John, it's just, as you say, he just needs to go out and recuperate and recharge, doesn't he?
Yeah, and we still don't have a settled side. That's been the back four change the last 8 games. So I know some of that's been through injury and COVID, but the back four's changed 8 games. The midfield three keeps changing, and the front three keeps changing. If there's no consistency, we're never going to hit what we hit last year. We need to get everyone fit, and we need to agree on our 11, and we need to have a go at it. The only issue is, I think Kent's injured, so we're going to change on Sunday again. Then we're going to have the League Cup, so we're probably going to change the team again. So it's trying to find where we're going to get that consistent run of the same players. I think it's mental that Roof didn't start. I think we paid a lot of money for him. Every time he's played and when he's been fit, he's scored goals. That's what you need in a game like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but as you said, Jimmy, at the start, the second half just passed us by, didn't it?
Yeah, it was passive. Do you know what? A couple of decent balls in the box now, but nothing really. And they look. I mean, at half time, I thought, see the fullback for Lyon, the young boy, the 18-year-old. Yeah. I thought we could have maybe. Although he's a good player, but I thought that was our avenue. That was our avenue. Barisic and Kent looked like we could get something out of him in the first half. So I thought this is where we would put the pressure on. But the young boy stepped up to the game. But a couple of players from Lyon, is he Portuguese or Brazilian? That Guimarães boy, because I thought he was probably the best player in the park. What a player! Yeah.
Brazilian. He was really good at the Olympics. He was a player that stood out for me in the Brazilian Olympics team. He was really, really good. He bitched 3 of our players at one point in the second half, just shrugging people off as he ran through us. He was the one that really impressed me, that I hadn't really realised how good he was, because the Olympics is really hard to judge. I think what we're maybe seeing is that condensed season for us last year, and the players that ran into Euros, so Barisic, Kamara, specifically Kamara, because he's not even been able to play these European games because he had the suspension hanging over him. So he's probably still a few games still off being what Glenn Kamara can be, because he looked a wee bit off it, because on European nights he's been the one in the midfield that's really drove us forward. But I think that is just that. He'll get up to scratch pretty quickly, and in a couple of weeks he'll be back to where he was. So I'm not too concerned. That's what we said at the start. Mm-hmm. I feel weird because I don't feel the same way I normally would if we'd got beat 2-0 at home. I'm not happy about it, but I'm like, I've seen worse performances, put it that way.
Yeah.
We've won after worse performances.
100%. Aye.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you think about it, I felt Lyon were quite streetwise in the second half against us. They were getting a lot of fouls that really weren't fouls, but they were just smart in getting them, weren't they, Jamie?
You get that in European football, though, don't you?
They're just clever, aren't they?
Continental game. There's a continental ref and stuff like that. So I'm not overly. I mean, a lot of our players are continental, if you know what I mean. It's not just a Scottish or British player. So I'm not. You need to play that. That's what you're in Europe for. This is another part of the game. You need to kind of combat when you're wanting to try and win things or win matches in Europe. So I'm not really bored about that. I mean, I know the one where Denier has a dive. I don't understand why the ref or the linesman just doesn't say, well, that's a dive, or the VAR's used. And then, John, you mentioned one about the corner as well. quickly jump in,
Aye.
check that. Oh, that's a corner, right? Quick, let's move on. It's a 10-second check. Everybody's seen it in the replay. So, but this is what European football's all about. It's a different style of football. So these guys are coming to play things like that. You don't get you won't see Andy Considine diving and trying to corner ref when you're playing Aberdeen away on a Tuesday night. Do you know what I mean? That's just not what happens. So we need to adapt to these kind of things if we want to do well in Europe going forward. But aye.
But I think as maybe the fixtures played out tonight, it looks as though, John, that the Bromby and the Sparta games are going to be the ones that we should really be going at, really.
That's it. Yeah, we need to go to Sparta Prague and definitely avoid defeat, and then it's a double header against Bromby that can hopefully put a bit of distance, because hopefully Lyon can take care of their business as well. They can deal with Bromby and they can deal with Sparta Prague, and that would see them done. And ideally, if we needed points off Lyon in the last game, they might already be through and top the group. Fingers crossed. So I know we're dealing with loads of permutations, 5 games ahead, but that's what you've got to hope. You've got to hope Lyon do to other teams what they've done to us tonight, and we can start putting points to the board. And by the time that Lyon game comes round, if we need something, Lyon don't, and that's all we need to do is go over there and win. So yeah, I think what we've seen in reflection is the priority where it's previously been getting our European status back. The priority is clearly the league now. That seemed pretty clear. We were all a bit bemused in the group chat when Davis got taken off, but I think upon reflection, I can go, but we've got Motherwell at home in the league. That Motherwell at home and then Livingston in the cup. That's us. We're going domestic. We need that title. That title's £40 million this year. Yeah. I think we've probably seen that. We might actually see this happening a bit more. So Davis probably got the rest he needed, and ironically, we've got to see a wee bit better at Lundstrom in a better position. Yeah. But I think that's going to be a clear move. I just think going forward, it needs to be Roof and Morelos. Both of them need to play in that front position. I think the only player that maybe made a difference today would have been a Hadji, in that midfield driving us forward. We really seem to lack just someone that's got that real class. I've said this before. He's the best player at receiving on his back foot and going forward. It's so tidy at going forward in that 8-10 position. So I'm keen to see where he is.
Did we hear anything? Did we see? Was Gerrard asked the question before? I never seen the pre-match.
He was asked on Wednesday, about Hadji, and just said he wasn't available. So
you're thinking 10 days for COVID, so if we're not approaching, or not over 10 days now, which doesn't bode well. If he's had COVID, then you're starting to think, well, is he still out with COVID? If it's more than 10 days, is he going to have underlying issues? And I'm such a pessimist.
Yeah,
I think this is the sentiment everybody's after.
Yes.
Jack ACP.
We were drying Jack for more than half the season last season. That's the thing.
Yeah, but I think John touched on it earlier. We haven't picked the same 11 or even close to the same 11 for 2 games in a row.
We might need to now, though. We might need to now, though, because it's starting to get a bit thin in the top. That's like my hair. It's starting to get a bit thin now, man. Like Hillander's out, so John, we might get the goalkeeper, and we're back 4 now for a good handful of games. I know the League Cup's coming up, which might throw a spanner in the works, but we might get a right good run of games with McGregor, Barisic, Tav, Balogun, and Goldson just playing. And then we need to start to think about, because there was a point last season where he went with a solid 11. You need to start thinking about doing that now.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree. And I think what we're seeing is, see me don't have that consistency. I know they train together every single day, but you do lose a wee bit of that motion. You could see it in Davis. I said this a couple of times in the chat. Davis was playing really safe, but I think he does that way more than we realise. It's just maybe on the second time there is a pass into an Aribo or a Hadji or a Kamara to move forward, but everyone's kind of trying to find that right pattern of play or that system that we had working for us. And don't get me wrong, people have now watched us for 60 games. They know how we try and play, and they really did shut off Davis's passing lanes all the time. Even the times they invited us in, it felt like there was 3 people ready to press, as if they were actually deliberately trying to get Kent to take the ball in that position so they could press on him because they knew he would come in there. So I do think Davis probably looked slightly off it as well, but I just felt like Lyon done a really good job on us out of possession as well. Yeah. I still stand by it. I don't think they're as great as everyone's cracking on about. I think we've played better teams with Villarreal and Benfica in the previous years, but Lyon definitely done a number on us there.
Yeah, I think as John was saying earlier, Jamie, it's definitely. I think the Europa League will be seen this year as a certainly behind the league as far as priority is concerned.
Yeah, without
With
speaking
what's
out
at
of turn,
stake.
yeah, I think because we've dropped out of the Champions League and we were maybe thinking we were going to go for the Champions League this season, specifically with the draw we got, which obviously didn't fathom out that way, but the league's for me far more important. But I think we're all Rangers fans, every game's important, so we're not a club who will drop 7 or 8 players in a League Cup game and bring in boys we've never even heard of before. You might get the odd 1 or 2 youngster getting a game here or there, but it's just not going to happen. We need to win every single game, and that's the way it is. Yeah. But for me, for the most of us, I think the league is far more important, and that's why that's the only little concern for me after tonight. Continuing from the last few games is we still look a bit passive. But John's saying, there's a bit of a hangover from the end of the season and Euros and stuff. Kamara's still to come. When these boys start to click, are we going to be closer to Christmas? If we are still top of the league at that point, then it's ominous for the rest of the league.
You agree, John?
Yeah, and I do think I agree with pretty much everyone that's saying Balogun. Balogun was definitely our man in the match.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people have been saying he was excellent. I mean, he stopped a lot, and yeah, he was really good, John.
Yeah, and I think I do think we need to start. The problem is the games of sun come so fucking fast that like it's so hard being a sub in a new league. So Sakala, you're not getting that out of him. I think that's probably why he's had to start Lundstrom. These players, Scott Wright as well, these players are going to need to start starting some games if we're going to see anything from them. Sakala's not going to impress getting 15, 20 minutes here. I saw at Ostend, it was only when he started playing 2-3 games in a row that he really started to click and stand out as their best player. And the reason we signed him was because of that form. So he's going to have to find somewhere to get him a run of games. It might be as a result of this Kent injury now.
Yeah.
It's almost like we need to bite the bullet with that, don't we? Because when he came on, he done a couple of runs down the right-hand side. I thought, well, he looks decent. Then you go back to the Real Madrid game and back to some of the friendlies. They were all shitting themselves from him. One of the first games of the season as well, they were shitting themselves from him. So he just needs to. But you know what Rangers are like as a club? We need to win every game. So it's a bit like, do we put him in here? It's a bit like the whole Cedric Itten thing. Never ever really got a chance. Now, I don't think, personally, I don't think he was ever going to be good enough, but he never got the chance to stamp his authority on it. So we need to give people at Sakala and Wright the chance. And maybe in the forward positions, you can afford to do that. Whereas at the back line and the goalkeeper, you probably can't.
Yeah. So I suppose in reflection, we're disappointed, but we're not disillusioned with the performance. I think it was a reasonable performance considering the opposition we're up against. Fair enough.
It's a hard one because after the first half, I thought we could have went on to get an equaliser or win.
Yeah.
But you need to kind of reflect on it and think they're the top team. There's people banging on about them winning this competition. They certainly won't do that, but they were a good side. And if we probably look at it tomorrow and think back on it, you'll probably think, wait now, they've done a lot better than what John's saying, out of play. Some of the stuff they stopped us from doing, which isn't maybe the fancy stuff you're seeing people going forward. Like was it Henry Awar? We were expecting to be an absolute match winner tonight, and I thought he was pretty quiet. But if you probably look at him again, his passing rate is probably at 95% plus. Yeah. You know, so I'm not disappointed. I'm not. No. It's what it is.
Yeah. Right, guys. I think we'll call it a day there. But thanks for everybody for joining us tonight on the Rangers Rabble. We'll catch you again soon. Thanks very much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, later. Bye bye.
Cheers.